Hello everyone, my name is Diego Alfonso and I'm your host with the Florida Aviation Network. We are broadcasting live and in the clear from the Aerospace Discovery section in the Florida Air Museum located at the Sun and Fun compound, Lakeland, Florida. Celebrating the 41st annual Sun and Fun Fly-In and Exposition. Today, our guest is Steve Kapur. He is a pilot with the Geico Skytypers. And I said he's a pilot, but he's a pilot with a twist. There's something else into there, but I'm going to let Steve do that. Steve,
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Diego. Nice to be here.
Real pleasure to have you here today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Steve, when people hear Geico Skytypers, I guess they're trying to figure, and that you're a pilot, they're trying to figure out what do you do. Why don't you take us down that road and tell us exactly what Skytypers are?
Well, when people hear sky typing, very often they think of skywriters, right. Which uses a single aircraft that kind of twists and turns and spells out individual letters. And typically they can spell out 3 to 5 letter words. It takes them a long time, and often the winds aloft will blow the message away before it's fully formed. What we do is we actually use 5 aircraft to sky type our messages. The end result looks a lot like a dot matrix printer. You know the old dot matrix printers?
Yeah.
And so what we do is we have 5 aircraft in the formation. We fly a line abreast spread, and we have a computer in the lead aircraft that commands via data link radio, commands the smoke systems in all 5 aircraft in the formation. So as we go across the sky, we become like the printing head on a dot matrix printer.
Right.
And we're puffing, the planes are puffing at just the right time to spell out these enormous letters. Our letters are 1,500 feet tall, and they can be as long as 6 miles length, depending on the complexity of the message. Of course, we do a lot of messages for our sponsor, Geico. We do messages to promote the air shows that we perform at, remind people, hey, there's an air show this weekend, right. Come out to Lakeland and, to Sun and Fun and watch the air show. So we do a lot of aerial messaging that way. We also do a demo, and down on the deck, 6 aircraft demo, much like the Blues or the Thunderbirds without the power that they have. Right?
Now, we've been joined by Jim Record, which is also a pilot.
Yes.
With the Geico Skytypers. How you doing, Jim? And
I'm doing well.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Jim, how long have you been with the Skytypers?
Oh, I started with them in '92, so I've been with them a while.
Okay, so you have taught them a thing or two, I guess.
Well, fly the airplanes.
Now, you guys are performing right here at the Sun and Fun. I understand that.
That's correct. We're here. We're performing, assuming the weather cooperates today, we'll perform Thursday, Friday, Saturday, most in the afternoon, like after 2:30 or so, just prior to the Thunderbirds performance.
Okay. Now, according to my notes here, I got, you say different kinds of messages the team types. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, we've had a whole range of messages that we've typed, right, Jim?
We sure have.
Everything from marriage proposals. One guy had a divorce message for his wife, which was clean enough. It was just basically she took it all, right? We've done messages related to one guy that was being sentenced to in jail and pleading for leniency.
Oh my God.
We've done messages for movies. We just did a message this spring for Taylor Swift for her new album release that was coming out.
We do messages in different languages.
Yeah. So, and we can target them different parts of town. So, we can do, messages in Spanish and in Hispanic areas in New York, for example.
And what's your number again?
I'd be happy to give that to you.
Now, what is your next, I guess you go to different air shows throughout the year. But mostly, if a person wants to get in touch with you guys, what do they have to do?
Well, I'll tell you, the best thing to do is go to our website. We have a website, GeicoSkytypers.com. We have a Facebook page,
Right.
Geico Skytypers,
Right.
Facebook fans or whatever, and just search us and you'll find us. And then, we've got our contact information if people are interested in doing messages. But there's a lot of information on there, photographs, videos. I mean, tell them what the information.
Yeah, we have information of a series of videos based on what the team does at different air shows, based on each individual person, and it's called Information, and it's all up on the web.
The thing that really impressed me a lot about that website is that you have everybody's picture and everybody's short bio.
Right.
It's very, very informative.
Yeah.
So I've been doing my homework, okay?
Oh, boy.
Sounds like it.
But still, I'm going to put you guys on the spot a little bit because I want to ask you personal questions, especially people want to know. Every time somebody's a pilot, the first thing a lot of pilots and non-pilots, they want to know, why did you decide to be a pilot? That's that. In other words, take us back to that moment where you said, Steve, that's what you're going to do.
Well, for me, like a lot of our guys, and what's kind of interesting is we have like 3 or 4 generations of pilots on this team. Different age groups, different eras. When I started with the team, 14, 15 years ago, I was actually a couple years after Jim, but the guy that was leading at that point had flown in the Second World War. And so we have 4 generations of pilots, and the aviation is kind of the common bond. It's what holds us together, and I think enhances our friendships. I was interested in learning to fly probably since I was 4 or 5 years old, and I did like a lot of young kids. I mean, I built the plastic models, and I would go and watch air shows, and I had an uncle who was an airline pilot who was an inspiration to me, and so it was funny because I kind of got away from it, and then after I graduated from college and I was kind of out working in the world, I met a guy that took me flying, and I flew most of the time that we were together, and I had a wonderful time. And I went on as a civilian, and I got my private license and my instrument rating and my commercial and my instructor's license, and I learned aerobatics. I just voracious in terms of gaining these experiences, And unlike Jim or some of the other guys on our team, Jim was a military aviator. He flew in the Navy.
He looks it.
He does. He's got that look about him, doesn't he?
I asked somebody over there, was he in the Korean War? He says, no, he started it.
That's actually
First time I got
Vietnam.
accused of
That's
that.
actually Vietnam that he started it.
But I want to go to you now, Jim, and
Okay.
I want to ask you the same thing. What was that, where does that spark came and
Well,
the
I was
desire?
about 6 or 7 years old, and my dad got me a ride in a Piper Cub, a standard old Piper Cub. And from that moment forward, I knew that's what I wanted to do. He had been a military aviator in World War II himself, so he supported me with what I wanted to do all through Civil Air Patrol. And then I went to Dowling College up in New York and got my pilot's licenses there, went in the Navy and flew with them for 6 years, and then got out, went with the airlines and Skytypers.
A little interjection here.
Yeah.
So Jim is now a professor at Dowling College,
No kidding.
and one of our other guys is actually dean of aviation there. So we have some very learned individuals
That's good.
among us.
That's good. They
Helps.
keep us straight. You know
It
what
does.
I mean?
It helps.
Well, we stay in business. We fly here and we sit there and deal with the kids coming up that want to be aviators, and we just like to work with them. So that's what we do.
Yeah, I remember going through the website, and I don't know which one. I don't think it was you, because I got all of you guys here.
Look at that.
Yeah, I got it all here. But I know one of you guys flew in Flushing's Queens,
Yeah.
and
The whole team did actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were all
Yeah.
based there until the field
okay,
went
because
away.
I'm from there. I'm from
are
actually
you?
I'm from I'm from Cuba originally, but I came to the States back in '61. Went straight to Jersey and did all my learning over there in Jersey. But I was the chief pilot for a school in Queens. It was called Academics of Flight
Okay.
on 49th and Roosevelt, right by the railroad over there. And we used to fly Flushing. We used to got to be careful with the guys on LaGuardia because they were coming.
Oh, it's right next door, yeah.
Right up, but the airport has since been closed, and
And the apartments
Actually,
there at
it's
the end
flooded,
of the street,
right?
That's it.
They turned the pumps off and the airport is flooded.
Yes.
You can still see the hangar there when you land at LaGuardia.
Yes.
And every time I land at LaGuardia as a commercial pilot, I could look over there and see Flushing Airport.
That's exactly right. Now, let me ask you a question here that has to do with your career. If you had the power and I gotta warn you, Lucas, because Feds may be watching. So,
Okay.
if you had the power, what would you change in aviation for the betterment of aviation?
You know, if you had, you know, kind of that God power where you could snap your fingers, I wish it was more accessible, you know, to young people. I mean, Jim and I have the honor of, you know, showing these airplanes off, and we're so grateful to Geico to give us that chance. And we meet people at both ends of the scale. We've actually, and unfortunately fewer and fewer, we meet guys that actually learn to fly in these you know, they're trained for the military in these airplanes, and those are wonderful experiences. But we also meet young people, and you know, I wish there was more guidance and more help for them, and that it was more affordable for them to be able to learn to fly, so that we are building another generation of aviators.
It's true.
You know, it's interesting because every pilot that have sat here this week, I've asked that question, and without any rehearsal whatsoever, we never talked about this.
Right.
The answers are exactly the same. Every pilot is concerned about getting and keeping our youth interested in aviation, and like you say, making it more accessible and more affordable.
Right, right.
It's amazing that thought is the predominant thought right now in pilots of all ages.
Well, we all learned to fly when we were so young, and we all experienced that and came up that way. Now there's fences around all airports. You can't go in and look at the airplanes like we used to. You can't go in and watch airplanes for somebody for flying lessons. That stuff doesn't exist anymore. The grassroots flying is almost all gone. It's very hard to get involved.
It's very hard. I remember the first time I came to Orlando back in the 70s, there was no fence.
Right?
Yeah.
You can walk right in there.
Oh,
and
Flushing
look at
Airport, Zahn's Airport. You could go to those places anytime.
Right.
Yeah, but
I remember going with my parents and sitting in the car and watching the aircraft come in and land. You know, I wasn't great at baseball, but I sure loved my aviation. Right?
me too. And I remember since I was a little kid, you know, I love to eat. You can tell. And the only thing that would get me up from the dinner table was an airplane going overhead.
Right.
And back in those days, they all flew slow and low, you know, like
Yeah.
DC-3, 6, and 7s. And we even knew the sound of the engines, you know, what kind of airplane it was, you know, that type of thing. Now, the young generations that are coming, it's a little bit different. They don't have the same accessibility, and that's what, well, they're doing a tremendous job here.
Yeah. The Air Academy here, terrific.
The Academy, Sun and Fun, the way they're promoting aviation and everything else. So,
You know, we have a program that we go out and talk to kids or people in transition. We call it Sky's the Limit, and we've spent a lot of time talking to young people about the importance of setting goals, developing a plan. You know, your sequence of events that's going to get you there to your goal, and then discipline, having the discipline to pursue them. And sometimes it means, you know, staying in and studying when you want to go out and be with your friends. Sometimes it means, you know, working out, eating the right foods. I mean, it's all those things that enable you to pursue your goal. And we've been lucky to speak to kids groups. We've spoken to some adults as well, people in, you know, halfway houses and whatnot that need a little inspiration in their lives. So I believe that, you know, aviation, I know Jim and I are both so grateful to have this opportunity to be able to fly and to be able to give back in some way is pretty cool too.
paying it forward.
Yeah.
Like they say.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
Paying it forward.
It's good to see all the young people here at the air show, Oshkosh and at Sun and Fun, all young people, and that's
right.
good.
That's right. It's very inspiring.
Yep.
Now, what I would like you to do is, I know you have a tons of experience flying, and both civil and military. And what I'd like you to do, if you can, if you want, share a memorable experience that you will have, whether it was a war story or something that has stayed with you as something that you remember the most in your aviation career.
I think most of what it is, I mean, I enjoy flying. I look forward to flying every single time I get in the airplane. But the times that I think inspired me the most, I remember the most, is at night over the Pacific or over Alaska or something, watching the northern lights or seeing the vastness of the open space and the sunrises and sunsets.
That's
just, it's indescribable.
That's correct. That's correct. It's something that you can't. It's invaluable, number one, and so many few are able to
That's true.
witness that. You know, we're an elite in that sense.
Yep.
Now, how about you?
Well, it's funny because you used some words just now that I was going to use, and that was, you know, you realize you're seeing something that relatively few people get to see. I mean, I think for me, one of those, aha moments was punching through a cloud deck the first time, out by myself on an instrument plan, and flying in weather and popping out the top, and into just a beautiful sunny day, and
Yes.
and then you sit there and you go, oh yeah, that's why I do all this stuff.
I remember my first instrument flight
Yeah.
by myself after I got my ticket
Mhm.
from Caldwell, New Jersey to Van Sant
Van Zandt,
We
yeah.
know
Yeah.
where it is, absolutely.
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's like a little
We fly out
grass
of
strip.
there.
It was on the side of the mountain,
Yeah.
so to speak. It was on an angle. I tell people, I'm so glad you know that, because I tell people the wrong way. I don't know if they fix it now, but it used
No,
to.
it still has an angle to it.
You have to land, not
Catch,
only you
yeah.
have to worry about, you had also an angle at which you needed to touch down. So, but anyway, we took off, and to me, it was a solid overcast, and get up, and it was sun shining on top.
Yeah.
And the clouds looked like silver. It was like a silver bed. That is impressing my mind, and of course I didn't have cameras, nor did we have phones that we can take pictures
Sure, yeah.
at that time. But
It's in your head.
But
oh
in
my
in your
God,
mind.
It's an unbelievable, view. Now we've talked a lot about things, but
Sure.
I think we're missing the most important thing that I want people to know about, simply because it's my favorite aircraft. Why don't we talk about the aircraft that you use?
Beautiful, beautiful.
I think that's a
Yeah, these are actually very rare airplanes. They're SNJ-2s. They're made between 39, 40, and 41. They only made 56 of them. They actually were early on in the production of SNJs, and they made a lot of changes after that when they made 20,000 others afterwards. So these are fairly rare. We have 5 of the last 12 in captivity.
right.
And we've had them over 40 years, and they're in excellent shape. They're in the best shape they've ever been in. But it's a mix. They're old airplanes with old engines, and then we have modern avionics in them. We have glass panels, Aspen glass panels. We have GPS. We have all that stuff we use to get to air shows and to Skytype with. We use a laptop computer to Skytype. So it's the old and the new together. So we can show an old airplane to somebody who flew in World War II, and then go out there and show them a new guy a glass panel airplane.
The
we
new
love,
version.
We love that contrast.
Yeah, it's a tremendous contrast.
You're flying an aircraft it's older than you are, that was built before you were built, and here you've got color moving map, satellite fed weather. I mean, it's just amazing what they're capable of. We have Aspen is one of our sponsors. We're blessed to have them on board with us this year, and we've just been really happy with what we got.
Now, the one thing that I'm really interested in, because I know you kind of touch on the thing, you talk about a computer and the puff, but can you be a little bit more, because I see the airplanes flying, I see how the letters come out, and give us a little bit of an insight of the electronics of it, of how that happens.
Well, there's a couple of major pieces to the system. There's the computer, and we've got a proprietary software program that's been developed to control the smoke mechanism. It's then linked via data link radio, which is like Wi-Fi basically, in the air to radios in each of the aircraft. Those radios are commanded by the computer in number 1, and then those radios receive the signal, and they open and close the solenoid, which injects an EPA-approved smoke oil into the exhaust manifolds on each of the aircraft at just the right time.
Okay. Now, a question that I want to ask you, Jim, is, for instance, a new inductee.
Yes.
How does that work? Like, let's say you hire me. You say, well, I want to do this, and I meet all the requirements and all that. What am I to expect? How do you guys go about your training and preparing the individual to be part of the team?
Well, actually, we do just about everything in formation. You have to get used to that. You don't fly a single ship anymore. We taxi out in formation. We take off. We join up in formation. We do the Skytyping messages in formation, and we come back and land in formation. That's what we do. So besides knowing how to fly the airplane, and the T6 is a little bit of a handful. It's a large tail dragger. It's a little bit of a handful to fly. You have to be really good at formation. And then the sky typing is, for us, for the pilots, it's just flying formation. And as I say, the computer puts the puffs of smoke out. We actually can, the messages are as tall as the Empire State Building, and they're fast. We can do, it's about 16 or 17 times faster than a single ship doing a single message. And the messages can be as long as you want. As long as we have smoke, oil, and gas, we can put out messages. It's like a dot matrix, like a
That's
text
right.
message.
That's right.
So, well, we actually lay claim to the longest text messages in the world, because there's nothing that limits us from making text messages.
We were
We
the
just
first
keep 'em
text
out.
message people.
That's true.
That's right.
And it's text messaging.
Never thought about it.
Right.
That one we did for with Pi. This was it, for Math Day or something.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah,
It was an artist that had us do a message over Manhattan, and Pi is just like an infinite string of
3.12. We just kept
of
doing numbers.
and we just basically did that until we ran out of smoke oil. Completely filled the sky over New York.
So I guess don't text and fly doesn't
Oh yeah,
doesn't make it
work
with you
for
guys,
us.
no?
Well, when Larry's texting, I'm flying, so it's safe. Actually.
That's right. And when the pilots are flying, we're not texting; we're just flying.
Now another question that I have is aerobatics required to be part of the team?
We actually don't do much
I know
aerobatics.
you.
Yeah.
I've
As part of an experienced pilot, most of the pilots have already done acrobatics, but that's not something we generally do. The airplanes are capable of it, but it's not something that fits into our mission statement.
Yeah, because most of your flight is like
We straight and level.
Right.
straight on level.
And our air show
The
demo,
old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
And our air show demo is basically, it's about close formation, at times overlapping wings, and it's about symmetry. It's about kind of the grace and the art of it, as opposed to so we don't have the power.
Right. Now, how, I don't know if you can explain this, but, and it's always been, I've never flown a formation. I have for pictures and stuff like that, we brief and all that, but, me here and you over there, like I don't want to get too close to anybody. I don't want anybody getting too close to me. But the formation flight, in other words, what is the communication that goes around when you're flying formation? How did everybody keeps aware of everybody else? Besides looking.
Well, looking is the first
Right.
first order of business. I mean, it's VFR flying basically, and it's being aware of where everybody is. We're looser en route. We loosen up a little bit, but you still have to know where everybody is to be safe. And there's kind of standard communication that occurs from boss to us, so we know what his intention is and what he wants us to do. So we use the radios, but we don't need the radios. It can all be done.
That's true. It can all be done. And if tactically we do it the way the military does, we can actually have movements of the stick of the airplane to signal the other pilots to get into a different formation and not even talk over the radio. We're capable of doing that also.
See, I never knew that.
Yeah, that's what the military does. It's like a radio silence thing.
So it's like a sign language.
Yeah.
And we use the radios during the demo, but honestly, the demo is so carefully choreographed and so well known to all of the pilots flying it that if somebody were to lose their radio partway through the demo, we would just fly it out. We would just fly it out. Yeah.
It will not make a difference because they know exactly what to do, and you've been doing it. We've been doing
And
it
the
for
same
so
thing
long.
over and over again.
Yep.
And you guys do a great job because
Thank you.
those letters are just even all the time.
That's the art of it.
Now-
When you fly formation, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel really comfortable in close. Flying the letters is a lot harder. You're about 3 wingspans apart, and you're in what's called a line abreast. So rather than being tucked in like this, you're out here like this. You're turned a lot further in your seat, and you don't get the visual cues as quickly as you do when you're in close like that. So if he starts to move a little bit, you have to be right on it and very careful so as not to get out of position.
Or the messages don't look good and we get yelled at. A lot of our messages are videotaped, and people sit there and say, and we'll look at the videotape and say, oh, look, number 2's out of position or something like that.
Let's wait till we get on the ground.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's very precise, and it's very...
Steve,
Yeah.
Jim, I'll tell you, it's always a pleasure to have you guys here. I enjoy so much learning and relearning, what you guys do, because I enjoy seeing when you guys are doing it. And of course, keep up that mentality that we got to keep the youth interested in this and finding ways to promote that. Thank you so much for being on the show. Lots of luck. And
Thank you,
thank you
Diego.
so much your host, Diego Alfonso, with the Florida Aviation Network. We'll see you in a little while.